Welcome to Dominate, where we discuss strength and conditioning and much more. What did it feel like when PK won the Norris Trophy? I remember that day or that night vividly because PK was wherever he was at the award show or some type of NHL gathering or show or whatever. And I was driving on the 400 home. And he called me, he goes, "Clance." And he has this funny laugh. And he goes, "Guess what?" I go, "What?" Like, spit it out. I just won the Norris Trophy. I went fucking bonkers. I was in my truck screaming. It felt like I was training an Olympic athlete and we just won the gold medal. That's how it felt. And that's why, like, you see, if on my Google account I have that trophy and me kissing that trophy. For me, it was like, because that kid, man, he worked hard. He was committed. He didn't want to take any days off. Like, he was he was annoying, to be quite frank about it, to be honest. But that's what made him so good, because that kid worked, and that's what made it so gratifying. In terms of it, because I watching him work and pound and lift all those weights, do all those sprints, our communications, our arguments, because he's a kid that's going to, push back, which is okay. That just made him better. And if he can understand it and we're on the same page, he's good to go. And personally, for me as a coach who, had my own adversities and, people locking you out of this, shutting you out of that, and so on and so forth. But I make no excuses. I just keep working, just keep doing the best job I can do. And at the end of the day, my athletes produce and it speaks for itself. So when he won the Norris Trophy, I was no more good, to be honest. I was super happy, super stoked. I felt blessed, but I want more. I want medals in the Olympics, and I want way more accolades for our athletes and our coaches and our facility and so forth. So that's the biggest thing. But the biggest thing when he won that Norris Trophy was really, it was something else to me. So PK was the type of athlete that back in the day he would train twice a day, and he would train Saturday and have Sundays off. And he'd be calling me on a Sunday. "Hey, Clance, let's go to the gym. I want to train." I said, "No, man, rest." "No, man, I don't want to rest." And we'd have these back and forth arguments, and he'd call me on Sunday wanting to train. But that just goes to show the type of person he was, in terms of, like, he always felt he could do more work. He would not let anybody outwork him, period. And, it's funny watching him in the gym with the other guys and so on and so forth. And he might not be the most physically gifted guy, but what thing about him is, if you challenge him, he's got this mental toughness about this. There's two incidences. I remember we're doing sprints on the field, and one of our athletes, was beating PK, but PK started to, start chirping, start getting into somebody's head, and whatever, I don't know exactly what PK said. I just know PK, they were running, and PK to be like, just at this other guy and just back and forth. And all of a sudden, PK starts to win. I'm like, what the is going on? This guy is clearly faster than PK. Why is PK starting to win? Is that he if he finds a weakness, he'll lock onto it and get into you. So that's the quality about PK. Is pretty interesting to sit back and watch it play out. Another thing is, we do strongman in our training program. That's a staple in our program for most of our athletes, especially hockey players. I remember one particular summer, PK wasn't doing any strongman that particular day, so the guys were chirping him. Or actually, that particular season, we just left it out based on time constraints. And that particular time, guys were chirping him, "You can't do this, blah, 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 blah." He said, "Fuck this." He jumped in with the guys with the strongman in terms of the farmer's walk, Farmers walk were easily 150 pounds per side, so about 300 pounds in total, walking 60 meters. So there and back, 60 meters. Sleds were loaded up to about 500 pounds, I believe. PK literally buried those guys that day because the sled didn't start that at 500 pounds. PK just kept on asking for more weight. He would do 400 pounds, give me another 50. Do 500 pounds or 450, give me another 50. And that day, at the end of watching that show, and I didn't actually want him to do it because I didn't feel he was prepared for it. He wasn't ready for it. And I just shook my head and said, yeah, this kid's on another level. But it also showed me that his base for strongman is tremendous, because that's something he's been training with me over 8 years, and that's something we do every summer. And his body just, it just felt like it was another day in the park for him, and he just buried those guys. So for me, that mental strength, that will to not give up, that switch was telling for me. Those are some of the specific moments that really stood out to me about PK. So when people want to talk shit about PK and so on and so forth, dude, when he's ready to turn on that switch and he's ready to be number one, or he's ready to dominate, be aware. Just be aware. No joke. That's real, man. But if that kid decides to say, fuck you, it's a wrap. Like, I believe he can he can redefine how the defenseman position in the AHL. That's how much talent he has. And it's not about talent. He's smart, very cerebral. He knows how to use his body. Kid is crazy. I remember one of the times he laid out Marchand. So he laid out Marchand. Everybody's looking at Marchand when Marchand got laid out. But people don't see. Some dude start to skate towards PK, and boom, he put him on the floor with one arm. He just went boom. And that's what stood. I said, this fuck. But you don't understand, he can chin up 160 pounds, 180 pounds strapped to him on top of his body weight. That's almost 400 pounds. His lat strength is something ridiculous. And remember, he has one of the hardest slap shots in the NHL. Right? So don't tell me, I know. Right? People talking about, when he's ready to turn that switch and turn it on, he has a lot left. Believe that. Okay, that's a wrap.